I get it in a minute, Pooh. Top of the day, beautiful people. Top of the day. Let's get logged on in here. Oh, I got my computer last night. I had to do some downloads to my computer. It'll take like a minute. It's booting back up. I just completely closed it last night while I was doing this updates, so it didn't fully restart. That's why Tiffany. Hey girl, hey. Okay. Happy Thursday, everybody. Happy Thursday. Guys, we almost at the end of the week. Guess what? New Moon Day. It's Saturday, so you know what that means, right? Yes. The Sabbaths now will shift to Saturday. So tomorrow will be the last Sabbath for Friday in this moon cycle. Next new moon cycle starts Saturday, and the Sabbaths are on Saturday. It's funny because my uncle, who has been following like the Jewish Sabbath, you know, he asked me, well, one of my uncles asked me, was I following the Enoch Sabbath? I don't call it the Enoch Sabbath. I just say Yahuwah Sabbath, although it's found in the book of Enoch. I think a lot of people put a lot of different names on things. That I get where they're coming from and where they pulled it from, but I don't label it as theirs. I label it as Yahuwah's because he said those are his, and some people just reiterate it, you know. So I call it Yahuwah's Sabbath. And Mom, he asked me, he said,
Mom,
listen, yes, baby.
Daddy want to eat and me no want to eat.
Y'all both want to eat? Okay, give me a few minutes. Let me get this done and I'll make sure y'all eat. Okay. Daddy want to eat and me want to eat. Okay. What is this? Exit. Okay. Cool. So, he said, are you following the Enoch Sabbath? I said, yeah, but I don't call it the Enoch Sabbath. You know, I said, yes, it's found in Enoch. And I asked him why. He said, because, you know, one of his daughters and one of his friends also, actually, he noticed his friend began to follow it first. I forgot, they used to live here for a while, but they moved away to go help take care of their parents or whatever, but they started following it actually a couple years ago. And his daughter started following it. So he asked me, he said, are you? I said, yeah, because we talked about it before, and I think I mentioned it to y'all. I said, I think the Sabbaths rotate. You know, this was like, y'all remember, this was like doing our first, right when it was like first starting off the first time around. But that I had been saying that to him, but I hadn't really mentioned it up here yet. But it only rotates. Listen, let me make sure you understand what I'm saying when I say rotate. It doesn't. Yeah, it's definitely been at least 2 years, Alicia. It rotates. It rotates to us because of the calendar we're currently on, because we're on a Sunday through Saturday and the months January through December calendar, and it's not quite lined up with how Yahuwah said it's supposed to be, because like the world's calendar begins in January, Yahuwah's calendar begins in March, and sometime depending on where we are with this calendar, it'll begin like March, April time frame. Sometimes it's like that first week of April. Most of the time it's like that last week of March. It just depends on the seasons and stuff, right? But it's easy to calculate the moon cycle. So that's why you keep watch for it, right? But it only seems to rotate because it's not lined up perfectly. Now, Yahuwah's calendar is fixed 7 days. Like if we had never, I ain't gonna say we, but if it had never been messed with over time, it would be set like what the Jewish people have put out and what they're following, like every Friday. They say sundown to sundown, but I'm not even going to start that right there. But it would look like that, but it does look like that, but it can't look like that according to the calendar that we're following, because Yahuwah's year is a set year of 364 days, or 360 with the 4 seasonal days, right, in each season, right? So if it's 364 days on the current calendar that we're on, is 365 days. Some years, or every 4 years, 366. You will notice the change, because like my sister always say, you notice how your birthday, when your birthday comes around, if we was on a set calendar, if your birthday falls on a Monday, your birthday should always fall on a Monday, but it doesn't. Our birthdays also cycle throughout the year, so it may be a Monday this year and a Tuesday or Wednesday next year, or maybe on a Friday this year and a Tuesday next year. Every year your birthday cycles throughout the week, every single year, right? So there are other things that you can look at to see that, because Yahuwah's year is like a perfect 52 weeks, perfect, and you got to think about previously when they were switching from like the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar, the different ones, and how there was a period when it was transitioning to where 14 days from the calendar completely go missing. It was like the second day of the month, and now when they made the switch, I don't know why they did that. But it went from like the second day of the month, like today is October 2nd, and then tomorrow, it's October the 16th now. I'm like, what? How did they? And they, all of that, so you're missing like all those days. You got added days in. There's no way that the Sabbath could be set according to this, current calendar that we're on. It's impossible. Impossible. Right off the bat with the difference of the one day, 364 and 365. We ain't talking about the leap years yet. It's impossible to stay the same day. That's why, Trina. So, so it definitely rotates. But you have a lot of different people. Going back to what my uncle asked me, I say, yeah, we started celebrating it a little while ago, because when we find out we're doing something wrong, we want to make immediate adjustments and do it to how Yahuwah says to do it. Okay, take it back upstairs. So that's why. But he was saying, well, he just followed with the Friday sundown and Saturday sundown, because he said it got too complicated for him. I said it would be complicated, and I used to get frustrated at first when I started looking at a lot of other people's stuff, because you will see a lot of people have videos with different, even trying to explain the Enoch calendar to you, it's confusing. It's like really confusing. I used to get frustrated. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Let me go through here line by line myself and look at this. And that's when I really started doing it. And I get what they were trying to do. They're trying to draw it out for you. I mean, if you understand it, you can look at some of the stuff, you can like understand it now, at least I can, because I've been doing it. And I've actually went through it line by line, and I can see the breakdown. I'm like, oh, okay. So I get it. It's really simple for real, but I can understand that it's really complicated to understand if you just look at some other people's stuff. I'm like, you know what? It's simple. Teach my children. It's simple. We watch. It's really, really simple. You can tell when the seasons change. Clearly, we can tell just because we've been living in the different seasons for so long. But say if somebody came here and they was completely dumb to the seasons, Enoch tells you what to look for in each season, right? And it tells you, what the seasons are called and when they change, and how the days in the summer go from long days when they're full of sun for like 12 hours a day, into how the days get shortened with light as we progress into the wintertime, right? All of that is there. Read, if you want to go read it. If you haven't, I know I mentioned it a couple times. Enoch chapter 72 through 82. But if you just want to look at like the moon cycles, it's 78 through 82. The sun and the moon cycles. But 72 to 82 covers everything: the moon cycles, the sun and the stars, and the seasons, and everything. Where the hoarfrost is kept, and all of those things, and where the rain comes from, all of that is there, and you can see it, when you read it, and now it's like you become aware of it, and it's such a beautiful thing, right? So, okay. All right, y'all. So today it is Thursday, October the 15th, 2020, day 276 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. Year 2, day 640 of the 2-year consecutive count without the Sabbaths and the feast days, Sabbath days added in. All right, y'all. Psalm 36, 37, and 30. That's what I want to check. 36, 37, and 38. I want to check the length of this one. Okay. See if I want to add another one. 39. Yeah, we're going to add 39. Okay. All right, y'all. So we're going to read 36, 37, 38, and 39. All right. So let's go back to 36. All right. Psalm 36. Sin whispers to the wicked deep within their hearts. They have no fear of Yah at all. In their blind conceit, they cannot see how wicked they really are. Everything they say is crooked and deceitful. They refuse to act wisely or do good. They lie awake at night, hatching sinful plots. Their actions are never good. They make no attempt to turn from evil. Your unfailing love, O Yah, is as vast as the heavens. Your faithfulness reaches beyond the clouds. Your righteousness is like the mighty mountains. Your justice is like the ocean depths. You care for people and animals alike, O Yah. How precious is your unfailing love, O Yah. All humanity finds shelter in the shadow of your wings. You feed them from the abundance of your own house, letting them drink from your river of delights. For you are the fountain of life, the light by which we see. Pour out your unfailing love on those who love you. Give justice to those with honest hearts. Don't let the proud trample me or the wicked push me around. Look, those who do evil have fallen. They are thrown down, never to rise again. Psalm chapter 37. Don't worry about the wicked or envy those who do wrong, for like grass, they soon fade away. Like spring flowers, they soon wither. Trust in Yahuwah and do good. Then you will live safely in the land and prosper. Take delight in Yahuwah, and he will give you your heart's desire. Commit everything you do to Yahuwah. Trust him, and he will help you. He will make your innocence radiate like the dawn, and the justice of your cause will shine like the noonday sun. Be still in the presence of Yahuwah, and wait patiently for him to act. Don't worry about evil people who prosper, or fret about their wicked schemes. Stop being angry. Turn from your rage. Do not lose your temper. It only leads to harm. For the wicked will be destroyed, but those who trust in Yahuwah will possess the land. For the wicked will be destroyed, but those who trust in Yahuwah will possess the land. That's another one of those things where it reiterates that the wicked are rooted out and the righteous inherit the earth. Remember, it's the wicked who lead, not the righteous, right? That's what Yahuwah says. So every time we come across that, I want to reiterate it to you just in case you're not paying attention. The wicked are not taken away. The wicked don't get to stay here. The wicked are rooted out, and it's the righteous who stay here on the earth, and they inherit the earth, right? I read it again. Verse 9. For the wicked will be destroyed, but those who trust in Yahuwah will possess the land. Soon the wicked will disappear. Though you look for them, they will be gone. The lowly will possess the land and will live in peace and prosperity. The wicked plot against the godly. They snarl at them in defiance. But Yahuwah just laughs, for he sees their day of judgment coming. How many times does the scripture say that? How did it switch to getting our reward after we die? Shaking my head. Can I answer that real quick? Hold on. How many more verses we got? Let me just answer that now because we got like 40 verses here. Okay. Hold on. Verse 11. Leave my marker right there. Okay. So real quick. What we was just saying, it reiterates it all the time. Remember, when Jacob was scattered to the four corners of the earth, just like Yahuwah said all the way through. I don't know how we missed it. Well, I do know how we miss it. We miss it because we let people teach us about what we carry around, what we have in our home. We got 15 Bibles in our homes and don't read them. I mean, I read mine. I may not read all 15 of them every day, but I'm reading one of them or listening to it, right? But y'all get what I'm saying. Okay, so that happened. The switch happened when we went into captivity. Remember, we went into captivity. We were scattered to the four corners of the earth because we turned from Yah. We turned from his laws, his statutes, and his commands. We wouldn't listen to the priests. The priests went rogue. They wouldn't listen to the prophets. A couple of the prophets they murdered, but a couple of the prophets, I ain't gonna say a couple, a lot of the prophets were actually kept safe because they kept Yah's commands, and of course they went into captivity. Just like Jeremiah, he knew, he's like, look, we all going into captivity, bro. Y'all not following nothing. But it switched. If we go all the way down through time, remember what, it's the same thing, y'all. When they went into captivity, Yahuwah said, you're going to go into another land, and because you're worshiping multiple gods, you're going to worship their gods. So they went into other lands. They was forced, like they literally had to make a decision whether they were going to keep Yah's commands or now follow the current land's rules. Like if you read all through Maccabees and even through the books of the prophets, some of them in the different captivities, they were forced, like they were forcing Yahuwah's people to eat swine, to eat pigs, something that our people's like, oh, this is a part of our, no, it's not. That's a part of the curse and what they did to get us to turn away from all his laws and statutes and commands. Yahuwah said, you do not put swine's flesh in your mouth. It was not made for human consumption, and especially not for my people. We are to be a clean people in every area of our life. Not only our lifestyle, but the way we eat and how we feed our bodies life, right? He laid all those instructions out there. He said, listen, I lay before you life and death. He said, I'm going to tell you which one to choose. He said, choose life. This is how you choose life. He made it plain. He laid it out, right? Okay, so the switch happened, Leisha. Remember, and I'm going to just tell you from the standpoint, I mean, I can go through all scripture, but I'm going to give it in today's vernacular where we can see it. Remember, transatlantic slave trade. When they brought us all over, think about it. If you look at some of the other things in regards to religion and what they were doing to our people, remember, they forced their God on us. Remember, they forced Christianity upon us. Remember, if you go through and you look at the Crusades, they were forcing people to worship their God. Why? Because they could make you more pliable. And the switch happened. They said, okay, you come here, you worship our God. And what they do, they put you through the indoctrination system, and they teach you about different things. And, oh, you submit this way. And they started taking scriptures and taking them out of context. This is how you submit to your masters and stuff. And they said, oh, don't worry about your land and stuff. You're going to get that in the sweet by and by. They took our physical land that they came and, I mean, not just us, but even the people here where they came and they just pillaged and raped the land and stole. They said, now we get this land here, but your land is now in heaven. You look forward to when you go into eternity and you're going to get your reward there. Yahuwah never said that. He never said that. That's why I encourage y'all. That's why I've been reading this the last couple of years. I'm like, come on, let's just open your favorite book, open your favorite Bible, and let's read it together. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Y'all have to look and see what's here. Because I believed that for so long till I actually started reading. I'm like, oh, shoot. It don't say that anywhere. I'm like, wait a minute. And so I'm like, how can they teach us? Why? Remember, the Crusades and enforcing Christianity on us. This is what you teach the people. The pastors going through indoctrination. The teachings that are passed down when you go into seminary. They teaching you all this stuff. Why? Because it lines up with their religion, serving their multiple gods. And they're indoctrinating you to further indoctrinate our people. Like, who is a better... who better to teach you than your own? So they take those of us. Yeah, the girl, the tent. Don't get me on the tent meetings and where they actually came from. And since you brought it up, and since I said it, let me just go ahead and tell you where the tent meetings originated from. The tent meetings, and just kind of keep it short. I know, black people get a hold of things and we turn it out. We make it our own or whatever. So tent meetings, yes, the spirit falling. Okay. All that is true, but let me tell you where they originated from. The tent meetings actually originated from something super racist, right? We had tent meetings. We had to have tent meetings if we were going to fellowship together, because they didn't want black people mixing with white people in their congregation. You go look into everything I'm telling you. You know, a lot of people think, oh, well, this is how we have revival. Okay, yeah, that's how we have revival. But if we know the actual origin of the thing, and a lot of people think when we continue in something, not saying that Yah can't show up. I'm not saying that, because he will. He actually will. If people are really searching for him, he will show up for you. I'm a number one witness of that, and he will. But if I understand something was, we can still have it, but we're going to get rid of this tent. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so they didn't want black people mixing with them in a white congregation, so they said, you put them outside, and they can listen from outside. Give them a tent. And so when they realized there were those of us who seemed to be leaders, they would take them and they would make them shepherds or pastors over the people or whatever. And they say, okay, this is what you teach. And they would actually, the tents, they had to be tents, open tents, right? Just like the tarp or whatever, so they could spy on us and hear what we were teaching our people. It wasn't just, oh, you sit over there and also listen, but it was also a way for them to keep spying on us. And you got to look at everything, how everything works, because they were so adamant about getting rid of the one God that we worship and we serve, that there was always infiltrators among us to make sure and to keep us in line. Because why? That's where the true power came from. When our people realize that we are not to be worshiping multiple gods. Even in King Leopold's letter, he said they know who they worship. They worship one Nzambi. Nzambi means God. Yahuwah, right? That's an African dialect term. Nzambi. They know who they worship. So they had to constantly, it was a constant indoctrination of our people. Why? Because it kept us powerless. So while we're calling on multiple gods' names, all kind of destruction and havoc is still happening in our life. Teach them to eat this type of food. No, put it where they can't eat that way. Because the more and more we further violated the laws of life that Yah gave to us, the further away we got away from him, the further away the power got. We see little small miracles here and there, spurts here and there, but not like what they saw back when they were fully worshiping him and him alone, only crying out to him and him alone. Who did the prophets pray to? Who did King David pray to? As we're reading through the song, who did King Solomon cry out to? Not to multiple gods, not to multiple gods' names. That's why I was like, y'all got to read this. And like I told you, and some people say, well, what is the difference between what you used to do and what you're doing now? I said completely the power. I would say the power. I can hear him clearly, although I've been hearing him throughout the course of my life. Now that I'm seeking Yah in true understanding and true light of who he is, and I know who you are. I know who you are. I can see through the lies and stuff. I can ask something and I get my answer most of the time just like that now. I can, like, a lot of times I get the interpretation of my dream right then, with the exception of a few that I'm like stumped on. I'm like, okay, well, he hasn't given. I'm like, there's a immediate difference that I see from before just being a Christian worshiping, because even while I was doing that, okay, who am I talking to here? I'm like, okay, I gotta do my prayers in this name. Okay, but I'm talking to the Holy Spirit, and then, but God, where do you come in? Are they giving you my prayer? Like, seriously, I'm like, something just seemed, I'm like, okay, but I did it because that's what we were taught to do. As we was learning, I just cannot in good conscience go back to that anymore, because although we were using multiple names and my heart was pure towards Yah, when Yahuwah, he started showing me this a few years ago, he said, I am Echad. He said, I am one God. He said, you don't need to call me by multiple names, because it was confusing to me. I was like, Father, I'm confused. I was like, okay, I know, but what I'm reading, it says you are one. It's constantly saying one, and it's constantly talking about your own name. I was like, but they told us to use another name in here. I was like, but if he was a human, I was like, but is it you here? He said, I am one. It was like, stop the confusion. He said, I am one God. And I studied Echad for like 6 months. That's why I can tell. I was like, listen, don't even take my word. I said, if you're really sincere about it, ask Yah. Go pray about it. Go use the same things that they taught you how to do. Go pray and add some fasting to your prayer. Don't pray and fast with the mindset to prove me or somebody else wrong. Pray and fast with the mindset of finding out the truth of what Yah really says, what he really commands, what he really wants us to do. You know, there's been great mercy for us who have been brought up in lies, and Yah still hears our cries and answers our prayers. But as we grow up, I'm going to use this example, right? I may have used this example before. For those people who raise their children and they celebrate Christmas, right? A lot of times, and not all people, because even when we did, I was like, wait a minute, why am I telling people it's the Santa Claus when it's us? You know, but I did it like first off, but then I was like, nope, not doing that. It's daddy and mommy that gave you the gift. So we can make sure that their praise or their adoration or their thankfulness, their gratefulness is directed to the right place, right? Even with that, if you teach them early, oh, Santa Claus came down the chimney and he left these gifts. We're going to leave out, let's make Santa Claus some cookies and leave him some milk or some eggnog, and we'll sit it right here on the sauce. Okay, everybody go to bed. Everybody go to bed, mom and daddy downstairs, wrapping gifts, eating on them cookies and drinking that milk and that eggnog, and get up in the morning and be like, oh, Santa Claus came, and y'all sitting there and y'all lying to these babies, telling them that Santa Claus ate up the cookies that they made for him. He drank up the milk or the eggnog that you left, and he bought all these presents down the chimney. The fat man came down the chimney with this huge bag of presents. Even if he only just took your presents out, what did he drop them all in? Then he come in and make sure they go into the tree. I mean, how does that process work? I mean, how does he fit down a chimney? Does he have magic where the chimney expands when like seriously? But kids don't think about that. That's why people, and I'm not going to say children are ignorant, but children are innocent. And they believe a lot of times what a trusted adult, what their parents tell them. But as we get older, we learn how to put away those childish things and really look at truth and separate truth from error. Some things don't make logical sense, but if you indoctrinate children at an early age with nonsense that doesn't make logical sense, they grow up being wavering on a lot of things. So even with that right there, you start off teaching your children lies, indoctrinating them, and you should be telling them the truth. You know, no, daddy and mom got you these presents or whatever. We went from daddy and mom got you these presents to we not even gonna do this holiday. You know, we celebrate Yahuwah's holidays and we get them presents throughout the year. And we'll do Hanukkah and stuff like that. It was like, okay, we explain. We got Hanukkah and we got Christmas. You got one day full of gifts, so then you got 8 days Hanukkah getting a gift every day. Yeah, everybody, hands down, let's do Hanukkah. We get a gift every day for 8 days. Yeah, let's do Hanukkah. You know, so you take something away, you have to substitute. I'm not even gonna say substitute it, but you give them something just as tangible to replace like a bad habit or a lie. You replace the lie and give them truth. You just can't take something away and just go on out there, go fill that whatever you want to, because they might end up worse than with the original lie that you gave them in the first place. And it's your fault because you made a conscious decision to lie to your children, to your offspring, those who you produce to push out in the world and represent you. And a lot of time it don't end up good. You know, they go through a lot of struggling and mental, like, wait a minute, what is going on here? You know, but y'all's in control. Okay, hold on. Christina said, okay, I have a question. So if you only call him one name, why do we have multiple titles? Like, I'm Christina, but I'm a wife, a daughter, a friend, a cousin, and so on. I respond to them all. I'm just asking, no disrespect all. Christina, love that question. I used to do, let me tell you, that's how I as I was transitioning, I was trying to make sense of it all. I was like, okay, it was just like that. I'm Pam. Some people call me Pam. Some people call me Pamela. Some people call me PJ Sparkles, PJ. Hey, but everybody is me. I'm not multiple people. That's the difference. In the church, they're teaching you that it's three different people. But that's a perfect example that you just gave. The example you gave is the example of being Echad. Those are titles, not multiple people. It's still that one person. So we know it's the same thing with Yahuwah. He's one God, one. He's one entity, one God. But we may call him different titles. Some may say Yah. Some may say Yahuwah. Some may say Yahusha. But that's where the confusion comes in with the way that they taught it with Yeshua or Yahusha, because they're still thinking, okay, another entity outside of him. So this is Yahusha and this is Yahuwah or Yeshua and Yahuwah or Jesus and God. That's where the confusion comes in, and it gets kind of with church people. Oh, don't take away Jesus because of the way they taught us. And hear my heart, I've decided I want to make sure I explain it in a way without pushing people away, to make sure they truly understand what they're doing, right? So the way the church teaches you, they teach you about a trinity, but Yahuwah said, I am one. And some people, they because Yahuwah, he is holy. When I used to say Holy Spirit, because Yahuwah said, it's still me. I'm one. I used to say, thank you, Holy Spirit. And then as I transition, I'm like, thank you, Yah, because it's always been him. Until you get it that he's one person, you don't see triplets of me where you're addressing different people. You're addressing me, one. I'm not divided. I'm one person. Although you call me by multiple names or multiple titles, mother, daughter, wife, friend, sister, auntie, grandma, I'm still, it don't matter. All those names you call me, all those titles you put on me, they all come back to me. Not to me and another being or two other beings outside of me. I'm still one. I'm Echad, one. I'm one. And Yahuwah says that all through here, Deuteronomy chapter 6, hear, O Israel, Yahuwah is one. I am one God. Some versions actually says Yahuwah is one God. But it is, especially when we grow up in the church and we're constantly indoctrinated with that, it's hard for us to make that transition. That's why I said you have to read it. You have to, a lot of times you can't just listen to what somebody says and just take it on that's 100% gold. No, you have to own the information that you live. And the only way to own the information that you live, that you believe, is actually to understand the information that you hold. That's why I said, go read it for yourself. If you only read the New Testament, you don't understand and you can't see the things that have been added and the things that have been taken away. Which comes first, the old or the new? So why are we living out of the new when even in the new, all they had was the old? You get what I'm saying? And then you have the teaching, we're New Testament Christians and stuff. I get the logic in what they're saying, but even those New Testament believers, they only had Torah. They only had the Old Testament. They live based on the rules of this. So now why are we living based on the rules of this when this was perfect? This may have some flaws in it because as the people are working through their salvation or whatever, you're looking at this right here and the words and the letters of others instead of the words of Yah. Which comes first? Which is the authority? Is it Apostle Paul or is it Yah? Is it what Jesus said or is it Yah? Who came first? That's what we have to remember. We have to keep that at the forefront of our mind and at the basis of all things. Who is the authority? Who is the authority? Not saying that what they're saying is wrong, because it could be 100% right. But how do we know if it's not coming from Yah himself? Do we go back and verify what they said to make sure they weren't lying to us. Everybody should do their due diligence. Be like the Bereans, going back and verifying everything that was taught to be sure that these things that they were being taught is true. Go back to what Yah said. Make sure that it lines up with what the authorities said. That's, yes, I understand. Thank you. Okay. All right, so I hope I didn't do overkill, but I wanted to make sure, like, seriously, ask me the questions because it helped me. Those are roles that you take on, not titles. All right, thank you, Leisha. Tiffany said, Christina described how I was taught. There is one God manifested in 3 ways. Yeah, that's how I was taught, and like I said, Yah knows those that are his, even with some of the poor and the bad doctrines that we are taught. If we still have a heart towards Yah know that we're crying out to him, but that's where I believe the grace comes in, because we're truly crying out to him like Father or God or, in Jesus' name, but our heart it's directed at him. It's not scattered, like we're indirectly praying to Buddha or somebody else. Our heart is directed towards him, and that's why we still get answers from him. So although that has been working for us, why not take it to a level where, like, how sometimes we pray and it's like, man, why that prayer worked and why this prayer didn't work? Or, it seemed like why that person got healed and why this person didn't get healed. But then we follow, it's things like that, But when we operate in truth, not saying that some things won't happen, because some things will happen, But I know that when we walk with Yah in truth and in spirit, you have to have both. You can't just walk in the spirit and not have truth, because you're gonna be a vagabond out there on the loose, and that's a freak show. Like one of my pastors, he said that's a freak show, and it truly is, because you can see a lot of people out there. They're full of zeal and stuff, and they may be full of the spirit, but their spirit hasn't been trained by the Spirit of Yah. Or some people say the Holy Spirit it's Yah. It's Yah himself. If your spirit hasn't been trained and you're full of zeal, but you lack knowledge, you're going to be a complete mess. You're going to be a train wreck, and you're going to probably end up crashing into a lot of people and then cause them to get hurt. So you have to not only be full of the spirit, but you also have to be full of the truth as well. That's what brings the balance. You can't have the sun all day and not have the moon. Based on the physical world that we live in, because these fleshly bodies need to sleep. So we have a day and we have a night. If it was constantly sun, when would we get to rest? Our body's time clocks will be thrown off. There's a perfect balance here in this world where we live. And Yah made it to be so, And like I said, if we move in truth and we understand, as we grow, we will see the progression of how Yahuwah has been teaching us from the time we entered this earth. Even if we were brought up under wrong doctrine, but our heart is pure to Yah, he knows that, and he'll lead you and he will guide you into all truth. But he may need to take you through certain places to develop your understanding, so when you get here, it makes sense to you. Just like with me going into the military, and some things that I understand now, and even preparing taxes, helping me understand some of the things that I understand now about his law, and things that how they're taking out, and how people are trying to use one law to supersede another law, or this is outdated. I'm like, no, you see what I'm saying? So he uses everything. Yahuwah doesn't let anything go to waste. He will take everything good and those things that you deem to be bad and dirty. He takes all of that and he uses all of that to the benefit of you, for the benefit of all who come in contact with you. And they can see the progression and the change of your life over time as you come into more truth. I'm sorry. The sun is, hold on. Christina said, like, I'm trying to understand. Hold on, I got on. So I can see it all. Okay. Like, I'm trying to understand why this world was just basically taught to believe in Jesus. Like, I read, the great I am knew me when I was in my mother's womb. So why he give me parents to teach me teaching that does not help me know him? Okay. This all goes back. It's not that your parents taught you against him. Our parents teach us what they know. And I think, Yah, that we're not just physical beings, but we're actually spiritual beings. Hold on, y'all. This sun is kind of bright. right? We're spiritual beings to where, okay, hold on. Okay, that's better. Now I can see it's just like a bright screen. Our parents teach us based on their experiences in life. You know, they teach us what they deem to be good, and they teach us to stay away those things that deem to be bad. They teach us about their spiritual life. When they prayed, these are the kind of results I got. When I was sick, I was healed, and I prayed this way. You got to understand, y'all knows who we are. We're still, I'm trying to explain this in a way where we're keeping all the pieces together. Like, you have to remember that I don't even have my physical one I'm doing up here. We are the children of the book, of the Bible. The different names that they've changed in Negro, mulatto, Negro. We are the people of that book. We are the children of Israel. So understanding who we are from the beginning and look at the different things and how our parents teach us, you have to remember they teach us, thank you Trina, what they was taught. Our parents teach us what they were taught, what they know to be the truth. And if it's worked for them, they figure it's going to work for you too. But that may not always be the case, especially now. Remember, Yahuwah said that at the end of the 400 years of our captivity, he said, my people will begin to come to themselves. They will begin to remember who they are. You know, so a lot of this stuff, remember he said also, he said, you're going to go to your captor's land and you're going to worship your captor's gods, right? And that's exactly what happened. It happened 100, just like he said it was going to happen. And that's what we're doing. Our people are waking up. That's why you see, if you look at our people as they're waking up, some of them are waking up going into like Kemet or Kemet or into the ancestral worship, because they're trying to find out, because Yahuwah is waking us up. Wait a minute, we know, well, this is not right. Okay, so they start to search. Okay, where did our people come from? Who did we worship and stuff? And you got to realize, not all the groups that are out here, the world and the nations are in cahoots with the other nations, and they have conspired against the children of Jacob, the sons and daughters of Israel. They all are in cahoots together. We're scattered to the four corners of the earth. They created another group of people and set them in a place and labeled it our land. But you have to understand that one little sliver piece of land that they call Israel is not all of Israel. Matter of fact, I would even venture to say that that's not even a place, but they've drawn the entire world's attention to this place and to this people, and you can see that they're out of place. You're in a black continent. Remember the other day we talked about how while I was in the military, and I didn't understand this until just last week, how when a ship went through the Suez Canal is a man-made canal. They carved that canal through Africa, and which would have been Northeast Africa and still is Northeast Africa, to make it look like it's not a part of the continent. It's always a part of the continent. It will always be a part of the continent, no matter how you divide the land up. Yahuwah said they would divide my land and spread it among themselves. You can see that in the Berlin Conference, how they divided up the entire continent of Africa. People think, oh, we just divided up this little piece of Israel. No, it doesn't make sense. That's why I say you have to look at it. The people are even out of place. Yahuwah said, he put it in Deuteronomy 28. Some people just say, oh, these are the blessings and the cursings. You do this, you get this. You don't do this, you get this. But you don't realize those curses identify who Yahuwah's people are. There is no other people on the face of the planet that can say that all them curses identify them except for the Negro people. And not even African people. And when I say, a lot of people say African, you can tell the difference between an African and between a black person. We are different people. And the black people are the sons and daughters of Jacob, Israel, right? So you have to look at all the pieces together. When you put all the pieces together, it begins to make sense. So our parents teach us what they've been taught, and I understand that. So I don't fault my parents. Y'all still bless my parents and what they did, because they thought they was teaching what was right. And a lot of stuff, just basic moral principles, They did. They taught us what was right, And Christina, I sat under your parents. They have awesome hearts, and I don't think your parents would purposely teach you something wrong. I just don't get that about your parents. I love them. They are 100% in my book. I love them, But they're not the type of people that's going to purposely teach you something wrong. They're going to teach you based on what they know to be the truth. Their experience, their experience that they had with Yah, even with the healings of your dad and stuff. I believe that was 100% Yah, even when we use multiple names, because that's what we knew. That's how we related to him. Even other cultures, in their language, they call him by different names, but they're still talking about the same God, and Yahuwah understands that. But there is a teaching here that teaches you to worship multiple gods, and a lot of people don't pick up on that. Just why a lot of people that say, well, Jesus is God, I get that. I'm not going to get into the schematics of that, but I get what they're saying. But you have to understand that he is one, right? So their hearts are not malicious towards Yahuwah. That's why their prayers are answered. But if you can see it, just like with the example you gave, I am one person, no matter what name you call me. It doesn't change my makeup. It doesn't change who I am. I'm still this one person. Some people know me by Pamela. Some people may just know me by my last name because of military or whatever, or my, what I'm saying? Y'all get what I'm saying? So they just pass down what they were taught, and they mix it with their experiences to give you a better understanding in life as you go throughout the world. They take what they taught, they assimilate it, and based on their experiences, they give you that, and we do the same thing. Based on what our parents taught us and our experiences in life, we teach our children, right? But their intent was pure, and their intent is right, but like I said, there are some people who are malicious and have, their intent is to deceive, like the Catholic Church overall. Not that the people, because I believe that a lot of the people in it, their heart is pure towards Yah, but they're just taught some bad doctrine and some things, and that's why some people begin to break away from all the religious factions and stuff. Like, I'm just going to pray to you, and that's where I got fed up at, because there were a lot of things that I was experiencing. I was like, this is not right. Something is off about this. I'm like, Father, I'm going to seek you. And I'm going to go through here and I'm going to read this and I'm going to truly study this and understand who you are, and that's when things began to change. And I'm like, wait a minute. The Bible says this? It actually says this, but they're teaching us this. So, and I don't necessarily get upset with pastors either, because some pastors, they were indoctrinated too, and they're just teaching you what they've been taught to teach you. Those who break away, they seem to become radical and stuff. Some of them get because of their radical, let's not say radicalness, but because of the truth that they're teaching, they catch a lot of flack from people because, you stepping outside the ranks, bruh. We not doing that. You need to get back in here with us, follow this, and they refuse to any longer teach lies. There are a lot of good churches out there that, as they're waking up, as our people are waking up, they're beginning to teach their people. But you will have some people like me. You taught us this all this time. Well, what was these like? You know what? I didn't know. I didn't understand. I began to study it. I think people will respect you more if you just be honest with them and tell them the truth. But like, I didn't know. I didn't know that I was teaching you lies. Forgive me. Just ask them for forgiveness. People are forgiven. People are really forgiven. Some people, at least people I come in contact with, they're really forgiven. If you would just be honest and not continue to try and put on the show, like, I really didn't know. I really thought I was teaching you the truth. I really did. But now that I know better, I'm going to do better. And I'm not going to continue teaching y'all a lie when I know the truth, because believe it or not, there are some pastors who know the truth. And I've actually even seen, I actually talked to one. And it was a particular white pastor that I spoke to. I'm like, okay, well, if you know that. And I go through and I'm watching the videos. I'm like, he a little bit, but he's not saying. The teachers are on point, but it's like the teaching is still misguided. It's not like he's bringing the people to a complete truth, but I can tell it's there. So I reached out to him. I said, hey, Pastor, blah, blah. We chat back and forth. I'm like, okay, so, and here's what he said. I asked him, I said, let me ask you a question, respectfully. I said, who are the true people of the book? He said, it's to his understanding and from his study that black people are the children of Israel. He said, but he doesn't really focus on that particular subject because it's really divisive and it would bring a divide. I'm like, of course it would, but it's the truth, so people with this, a lot of times they just rather not teach it and teach something else. But it's not all division is a bad division. If the truth brings in a division, I think it's good. I think it's the way you present it without watering it down, but telling them the truth, giving them historical documents, things that they can go through and research themselves. You give them the truth with the receipts. Like, you don't need to let me say it this way. The truth will stand on its own forever. You don't need to hype it up. You don't need to do all these other things to make people believe. You can give it to them just like that, And like I said, but a lot of times when I give it to them, I give you truth, but I also give you the receipts. Here, check over here. And don't just check the ones I'm giving you because I'm sure I don't have an exhaustive list. You can go back and get other resources that will prove and it will lead you to this same truth. It's in plain sight. But it seems hidden to us because we've been taught to look in this direction, when the truth has always been right here in front of our face, so. Okay, I think I answered the questions. All right, y'all, so that was it. So that I got started on this because Alicia said something all the way back up here. Oh, started with the tent meetings. Oh, yeah, so, the tent meetings were created to keep us separated from our white counterparts and so to keep it open so that they could spy on us and make sure we were teaching what they taught us to teach our people, because teaching our people what they was teaching, it kept us in submission to them. They knew if we would submit to Yah and to him alone, there would be an uproar. And there's a lot of things that were taken out of history, like the European history that we're taught in the church. The European history that we're taught in the schools, they take out a lot of stuff, like a lot of revolts and the rebellions and stuff that our people did. Think about our people now. Our people be ready to go. Like, don't say the wrong thing to the right person on the right day. They gonna come for you. And that's how, although we're a peaceable people, when you begin to mess with us, it's worse than meeting a bear robbed of her cubs, right? But they leave out all of those pieces, the revolts, and even one of the ships that was completely taken over by the slaves. They killed the people. They banded together. They killed the people. It's like, we're going back home. We ain't going over here to America, wherever y'all say y'all taking us. But they were strong enough. They got them up there. But they came together and they was able to take over that ship, killed them people, and they took that ship and took everybody that was on that ship back home. We don't hear that. Because if they put all of that truth in there, it will strengthen our people. Like, wait a minute, we don't have to take this. And a lot of people say, we ain't our ancestors. But if we knew to the depths of who our ancestors was, yes, we are our ancestors. And that's what they are afraid of. They are afraid that we will unite. And we are uniting because Yahuwah said the stick of Ephraim and Judah will become one stick. And we will rally together, and that's what the world is afraid of. That's what all the nations are afraid of. Social media, electronics has been the best thing that could have ever happened. It's a blessing and a curse all at the same time. Some people abuse it, but if you use it for what it was designed for, it causes the sons and daughters of Jacob to begin to communicate with one another all across the world. Just like with what George Floyd happened, it caused an uproar of the sons and daughters all across the world. In all the four corners where we are residing at, we are mad. And we are realizing that we are the sons and daughters of Yah, and we are returning back to him and returning back to those things that they told us were done away with. Why? Because it keeps us powerless. It keeps Yah from pretty much defending us as a whole, as an entire nation that will wreak havoc on this place for messing with us. Like, seriously, we won't go mess with people. People just randomly mess with us. We mind our own business. We want to live a quiet, peaceable life, raise our children, do business, work, tend to our gardens and stuff, and have children. Just keep reproducing generation after generation. We want to build something and leave an inheritance to our children, children's children. That's all we want to do. But people like to come for us. That's what wait, listen. You talking about making more children.
Hey, you said it to
Welcome, Mr. Murphy. Okay, y'all, so that's how we started with the tent meters. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let me finish this. Okay, we was in Psalm 37, and I stopped at verse, what'd I say? 11. Let's go back up to 9. Okay, let me hurry up because I didn't talk for a long time. For the wicked will be destroyed, but those who trust in Yahuwah will possess the land. Soon the wicked will disappear. Though you look for them, they will be gone. The lowly will possess the land and will live in peace and prosperity. The wicked plot against the godly. They snarl at them in defiance. But Yahuwah just laughs, for he sees their day of judgment coming. The wicked draw their swords and string their bows to kill the poor and the oppressed, to slaughter those who do right. But their swords will stab them in their own hearts, and their bows will be broken. It is better to be godly and have little than to be evil and rich. For the strength of the wicked will be shattered, but Yahuwah takes care of the godly. Day by day, Yahuwah takes care of the innocent, and they will receive an inheritance that lasts forever. Let me read that again. Day by day, Yahuwah takes care of the innocent, and they will receive an inheritance that lasts forever. They will not be disgraced in hard times. Even in famine, they will have more than enough. The wicked will die. Yahuwah's enemies are like flowers in a field. They will disappear like smoke. The wicked borrow and never repay, but the godly are generous givers. Those who Yahuwah blesses will possess the land, but those he curses will die. Yahuwah directs the steps of the godly. He delights in every detail of their lives. Though they stumble, they will never fall, for Yahuwah holds them by the hand. Can you not see? I think it's like, okay. Once I was young, and now I am old, yet I have never seen the godly abandoned or their children begging for bread. The godly always give generous loans to others, and their children are a blessing. Turn from evil and do good, for you will live in the land forever. For Yahuwah loves justice, and he will never abandon the godly. He will keep them safe forever, but the children of the wicked will die. The godly will possess the land and live there forever. I was about to say something. Just reiterate and remember, even with the indoctrination that they gave us, they took our physical land and they gave us a land that they said, oh, you will get this when you get to heaven. Then Yahuwah said, no, you're going to have this here on earth, a physical land that your physical bodies can enjoy. And they tell you, no, the physical land is not yours. This is your God. Your God got all these gifts and rewards for you when you get to heaven. Remember, that keeps us in a perpetual state of not having anything, not even thinking about fighting for what's ours. This is our land. You gonna give me my stuff. You know what I'm saying? And when we understand that, we will know that there's an inheritance that we have that is coming to us, and we're going to take it. You know, and Yahuwah is going to be the forerunning power that helps us to get that back, you know, but it's a physical land here, you know, like the rapture, how it's explained. I don't believe it like it's taught. There will be, okay, they call it a catching away, but that goes along with that lie. Oh, the wicked are going to get to stay here, and the righteous is going to be swooped up out of here, and you go to your heavenly homes and stuff that are built there. No. Those heavenly homes are here on this physical earth. That's where we're going to go. And I think if people would explain that the right way, granted, the rapture is a whole doctrine that was created in the 1800s. It hasn't always been there. Nobody believed that until the 1800s. That's let's just get that straight. You can look into that. Nobody believed that rapture doctrine until the 1800s. Proof. Everything is there. I'm not going to get into details, but you can literally go look at that. Nobody believed that before the 1800s. But there will be a exodus of Yahuwah's people. When you see people disappearing, not necessarily disappearing off the face of the earth, but they're going to be relocating back to their land. So that's the the let's call it the Exodus or the second Exodus or the disappearing of the people, because the people are going to leave their captors' land and they're going to go back home to their inherited land, what Yahuwah promised to them. And I see it happening now. People are preparing, they're doing things, and they're taking their family. Will there be a mass exodus? I do believe there's going to be a mass exodus, because even Isaiah talks about it, but it also talks about us returning in different fashions. Some are going to, for those who are further away, it talks about those returning by plane. It doesn't use the term plane, airplane, but remember when the prophets were describing it, they were describing it from what they understood in their day. Who are these that fly in the air as birds and land as softly as doves on a windowsill? What is that? That's an airplane. Who are these who fly? People flying in the air, landing as softly as a dove. That's an airplane flying and touching down softly. Y'all been on the plane. Y'all know how planes, that's an airplane. Some going to return by camel. Swift beasts. So what are swift beasts? Swift beasts in their day, it says swift beasts. Swift beasts today would be trains, cars, trucks. Some actually are on horseback. Those who have horses and are closer, they'll return that way. But the vehicles that we have, those are swift beasts, like beasts, animal beasts, swift running fast, swift beasts. That's what it was talking about. Vehicles, cars, trucks, buses, But yeah, so it's a physical land that we're going to go back and we're going to possess. There are people that are already going ahead of us and they're building up things there. They said you're going to take land, homes that you did not build, meaning what? People are already building those places. There are a lot of places that people are building up for us, and they're making the land ready. The land is beginning to bloom and stuff again. All these things that the Bible says. A lot of people just take it as a religious book. No, it is a historical book of our people that was passed down. A historical book. Matter of fact, if you listen to Enoch, these things, he said, write these things down and pass them down to the generation. So there are a lot of letters and stuff that are there. But like I said, the Catholic Church, they canonize stuff and they give you what they wanted to give you. But if they gave you everything that they had, we would be able to clearly see a bigger picture. Dana, hey, girl, hey. Should we not be acquiring property in this land? That's a good question, Dana. I mean, as long as we're here, and I still would, but I would still, while I'm acquiring land here, because we know everybody's not going to go. Not that they're like, oh, we're going to be stuck here. Some people just not going to choose to go, but we know America will still be here for a little while, because remember, the nations aren't destroyed until Israel. Our people have been back in their land for a while, and it talks about it in Zechariah. We will enjoy a time of peace and prosperity, right? And that's when the land fruitful, and we're gonna be famous for our crops and stuff. I think you can still acquire property here, but we were talking about this yesterday. Excuse me. And Jeremiah, he was coming down here talking about some things with this and moving. I was like, I would do it with the mindset of conducting business internationally, for as long as possible. Like say you're going to relocate to Africa and you have properties here and you're acquiring land. I would get myself informed on how if you're going to end up selling it or leasing it out or renting it to other people, maybe different property management companies. I would look into all those things so I would have those things available. So while I'm here, I can still control the properties here, for as long as I could. And if you decide to eventually go ahead and sell them off so you don't have these here and you want to completely get things done over here, then I would do that. But I will also not just look into acquiring properties here, but I will also look at what it takes to acquire properties where we're going, because that's the web. It's that we're going to gain those things. Not that a lot of things are just going to be given to us, but I do believe we have like smarts here. We can learn how to acquire things according to the laws, and we're going to acquire it that way. Some things is just going to be given. Like in some places in Africa, you come back, they're giving you acres, or they're just giving it to you. They said, come back home. We're going to give you this. Develop businesses here and help the land develop here. So there are a lot of things in place for us, those who repatriate back to Africa and different places. It's a lot of that stuff. I've been looking at a lot of it. But if you plan on doing it here, I would still, we're looking at that. My husband and I, we're looking at purchasing some property here because we're still here. We don't really know, like, if the mass exodus is going to happen, like, in the next year or two or whatever. I don't know, but we're still living day to day, knowing that we will be leaving here soon. Not that we're waiting on this big spiritual thing to happen, but we know that we're going to be returning. Wait a minute, Josiah. We know that we're going to be returning. And I think it's going to be like what happened in the book of Nehemiah. He said, I'm going to begin to wake them up one by one, and we're going to begin returning. We're going to be coming out of Babylon. First of all, waking up from the slumber. It's different levels of coming out of Babylon. You got to come out of it mentally, and then you got to come out of it like physically and changing the way and going back to eating things that give you life. And now you come out of it by, I think, another level. Like if our children in the school system, I'm not saying that you should pull your children out, but hear what I'm saying, why I'm taking you through different levels. Pulling your children out of that system, and you begin teaching them the ways of Yah and teaching them, how to grow business and stuff, because we're industrious people, we're business-minded people. Think about what we've done, what our ancestors did. And they're even coming out telling the truth now. Things that they said, like the pyramids and stuff, they said, oh, aliens did that. They don't credit anything to us. There were not aliens that did that. Black people built these things. But if it's something that they can't explain and don't know how we did it, they just accredit it to aliens. I'm like, y'all have got to be the... Aliens did not do that. Human beings did that. They had technology, but a lot of stuff they keep under wraps. But so to answer your question, I would still acquire land, but I will acquire it smartly, making sure, because what if something disastrous does happen? Not saying that it is, but, I would just look at it from different areas. And if you're going, and you may not go to Africa, you may go like down to Grenada or something, I know y'all really love Grenada, you may decide to go there. But if you're building real estate and you want to have some here, I don't really think it's a bad move to acquire it, but I would be mindful and watchful of the economy and what's going on. Is it smart to purchase here? And if it is smart to purchase here now, are you still are you constantly keeping watch on what's happening? Because when the economy crashes again, and it is going to crash, it's heading there now. If y'all not paying attention, I talk about different things that's still not coming back on the shelf. People can't get their products in. The economy is going to crash. It's going to tank. I don't know if it's going to be as bad as the 2008 crash and market crash, but it's we're headed that way. This is probably why they're trying to require vaccines to leave this country, so we don't leave. Yes, they're trying to keep the sons and daughters of Jacob behind the... Listen. Simple as this. Y'all got to look at this. They're trying to keep the sons and daughters of Jacob within their borders, because when the blessing leaves, the blessing leaves. Did that make sense? Yahuwah still blesses his people even in the land of our captivity. That's why they don't want us to leave, because when we leave, the blessing leaves, right? The blessing leaves. This country, the world has been blessed because of the sons and daughters of Jacob, the inventions, the ingenuity of our people. And people take the credit for everything that our people have done, right? That's why they don't want us to go. They can't let us go, because they know way better than what we do what will happen when we go. They will be utterly destroyed. And not necessarily destroyed like boom, like Sodom and Gomorrah, but you can be destroyed by being completely pillaged, or somebody else coming here taking over you and changing your name, just like they did when they took over America. They renamed everything from all the indigenous peoples, what they had originally named it. They destroyed it. This place was completely decimated. It was utterly destroyed, because there is no you cannot recognize it from what it used to be. This used to be the land of the indigenous people, but now it's look like it's populated full of white people, and we done put white people statues all over the place, and like they took down their memorials and their statues, and they replaced it with their memorials and their statues. The whole schooling system, they completely decimated by bringing in a new teaching system, indoctrinating people. Y'all get what I'm saying? So that's another way that a place can be utterly and completely destroyed. by coming in, taking it over, and replacing it with your stuff. We doing a takeover. It's a coup d'etat. They come and pull a coup d'etat. But yeah. So, but I would smartly acquire properties, and keep my eye on the market and where things are going. Looking at, and be smart and know when to pull out. That's probably one of the smartest things in doing business and also in real estate, is knowing when to hold and when to pull out. It's time to go. Let's do this. And also, guys, listen, and I mentioned some of this yesterday. I know this is going on. I got to finish this reading, but let me just tell you this one thing. Also, with COVID-19, like I told you, they're changing some of the tax laws, right? So with the 401ks, they are allowing you. Remember yesterday I told you, if you have a positive COVID test, if anything that happened with COVID, if any of that is documented, what can happen, they allow you to pull up to $100,000 from your 401ks without penalty. So I began to look at that, and I also began to look at people in government and all of them that have retirement accounts, and all of them that are all of a sudden popping positive COVID tests. Not that they're not positive, they probably are, but because of it, they know that the market is going to crash. They're thinking of ways to get their money out of this system. So if you were smart, I will also look at different ways and how you can, when need be, to convert your currency into another currency. Like some people, they're looking at ways to pull their money here out legally and put it over in offshore accounts and offshore banks that is not America. So they may be moving their money to banks in Switzerland or in Africa. So a lot of people moving their money to banks in Africa because they have different currencies. Make sure you understand your currencies. You can use Google currency to do all that. We need to be prepared when that market crashes. Yeah, you're right, Tiffany. Yeah, y'all in real estate. So, but yeah, I would definitely, let me tell you, good books to read on that. Robert Kiyosaki. They're the realest. I probably got his entire library, but he did pretty good with predicting the market crash of 2008. And that he predicted, you don't necessarily have to predict it. If you just watch it, you'll notice certain trends and stuff, and you watch what people in power are doing. They're pulling money out quietly, doing different things. There are different laws that they're changing to make it legal, where they can pull out more money in bigger chunks and not get taxed on it so high. Penalties and interest are forgiven, so they can do this. Like, they create laws for themselves, not for us for real, but create laws for themselves to preserve as much as their wealth that they've built over time, to keep as much of that in their own hands and move it to other places where they can still hold that wealth. Think about all of the big corporate moguls that left their companies, the CEOs that left. They stepped down like the end of 2019, 2020, because they know what's coming. They're watching, they're in there, they got insider information, so I would recommend, pay attention to some of these things. Listen to some of the code words that you hear them constantly saying. A lot of people, we're so entertained with other things that we don't pay attention. We're not watching and seeing what they're doing, but the truth is in there in plain sight. And if you're paying attention, you can see it. And if you were smart, you would begin doing some of these same things to make sure you preserve as much of your wealth as possible and to preserve your family in the midst of this next crash that's coming, right? A lot of those things are easy to see just by going to the grocery stores, So, but okay. Okay, that was the last. Okay, thank you. All right, let me finish this, y'all. Okay. Verse 30. We still in Psalm 37. Okay, verse 30. The godly offer good counsel. They teach right from wrong. They have made Yahuwah's law their own, so they will never slip from his path. The wicked wait in ambush for the godly, looking for an excuse to kill them. But Yahuwah will not let the wicked succeed, or the godly be condemned when they are put on trial. Put your hope in Yahuwah. Travel steadily along his path. He will honor you by giving you the land. He will honor you by giving you the land. You will, you will see the wicked destroyed. I have seen wicked and ruthless people flourishing like a tree in its native soil. But when I looked again, they were gone. Though I searched for them, I could not find them. Look at those who are honest and good, for a wonderful future awaits those who love peace. But the rebellious will be destroyed. They have no future. Yahuwah rescues the godly. He is their fortress in times of trouble. Yahuwah helps them, rescuing them from the wicked. He saves them, and they find shelter in him. All right, Psalms 38. O Yahuwah, don't rebuke me in your anger or discipline me in your rage. Your arrows have struck deep, and your blows are crushing me. Because of your anger, my whole body is sick. My health is broken because of my sins. My guilt overwhelms me. It is a burden too heavy to bear. My wounds fester and stink because of my foolish sins. Yes, baby.
Saying how subscribers on his video.
Okay, give me a second. My guilt overwhelms me. It is a burden too heavy to bear. My wounds fester and stink because of my foolish sins. I am bent over and racked with pain. All day long I walk around filled with grief. A raging fever burns within me, and my health is broken. I am exhausted and completely crushed. My groans come from an anguished heart. You know what I long for, Yahuwah. You hear my every sigh. My heart beats wildly. My strength fails, and I am going blind. My loved ones and friends stay away, fearing my disease. Even my own family stands at a distance. Meanwhile, my enemies lay traps to kill me. Those who wish me harm make plans to ruin me. All day long they plan their treachery. But I am deaf to all their threats. I am silent before them as one who cannot speak. I choose to hear nothing, and I make no reply. For I am waiting for you, O Yahuwah. You must answer me, O Yahuwah, my God. I pray, do not let my enemies gloat over me or rejoice at my downfall. I am on the verge of collapse, facing constant pain, but I confess my sins. I am deeply sorry for what I have done. I have many aggressive enemies. They hate me without reason. They repay me evil for good and oppose me for pursuing good. Do not abandon me, O Yah. Do not stand at a distance, my God. Come quickly to help me, O Yahuwah, my Savior. Last chapter for the day, y'all. Psalm chapter 39. I said to myself, I will watch what I do and not sin in what I say. I will hold my tongue when the ungodly are around me. But as I stood there in silence, not even speaking of good things, the turmoil within me grew worse. The more I thought about it, the hotter I got, igniting a fire of words. Yahuwah, remind me of how brief my time on earth will be. Remind me that my days are numbered, how fleeting my life is. You have made my life no longer than the width of my hand. My entire lifetime is a just moment. My entire lifetime is just a moment to you. At best, each of us is but a breath. We are merely moving shadows, and all our busy rushing ends in nothing. We heap up wealth, not knowing who will spend it. And so, Yahuwah, where do I put my hope? My only hope is in you. Rescue me from my rebellion. Do not let fools mock me. I am silent before you. I won't say a word, for my punishment is from you. But please stop striking me. I am exhausted by the blows from your hand. When you discipline us for our sins, you consume like a moth. Hold on, let me read that again. I messed myself up. When you discipline us for our sins, you consume like a moth what is precious to us. Each of us is but a breath. Hear my prayer, O Yahuwah. Listen to my cries for help. Don't ignore my tears, for I am your guest, a traveler passing through, as my ancestors were before me. Leave me alone so I can smile again before I am gone and exist no more. And that, my beautiful people, is our reading for today. That was Psalms 36, 37, 38, and 39. It is day 276 of year 2 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and day 640 of the 2-year consecutive count. Remember, without the Sabbath days and the feast Sabbath days added in. Okay, so let's go to Numbers chapter 6, and we read the blessing. And this is how Yahuwah told us to bless his people. And remember, the first 21 verses is the Nazirite vow. All right. Verse 22. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons. Remember, Aaron and his sons and also Moses, they were of the tribe of Levi, the Levitical priests, so they were the ones that stood before Yah for the people. Remember, the people cried for that. They said, let us not come into your presence, but you go and you bring us back what he said. Yahuwah didn't originally want that. He wanted to commune with us one-on-one. But, you know, because of the sins and the people, and it just, you know, but y'all know the story. Okay. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Whose name do we put on Yahuwah's people? We put Yahuwah's own name on his people. And who's going to bless us? Yahuwah himself will bless us. We use his name, and he blesses us. All right, beautiful people. I love you. See you bright and early in the morning. Wait, no. Tomorrow is the Sabbath. I will not see you tomorrow morning. I see you bright and early, 7:30 on New Moon Day, Saturday, October the 17th. All right, y'all. Love you. See you Saturday. Peace.